Hello, everyone! What's the scariest thing you could see in the ocean? The first creature you'll probably think of is this one. Yes, armed with razor-sharp teeth, a great white shark is the most aggressive one among its species. I doubt anyone will argue with that, especially these divers, or a poor cameraman. After seeing videos like that, you don't really feel like swimming in the open sea, except statistics say that our fears are slightly exaggerated. Imagine this. There have been about 350 unprovoked attacks by great white sharks over the last 2 centuries, and just over 50 of those have ended in fatalities. That's in 200 years. So, does that mean there are far more dangerous things lurking in the ocean? You damn right there are. Have you ever wondered, for example, where the missing ships go all the time? Everyone has somehow forgotten about the Bermuda Triangle, and meanwhile, ships keep disappearing regularly and without a trace. At least 8 to 12 of them each year. And one of the most mysterious disappearances happened in December 22nd, 1967. The 23-foot-long yacht Witchcraft set out to sea from Miami Beach and stopped just a mile away from the shore. After a while, the crew sent a message asking for help. The vessel had run into something unidentified and damaged its propeller. The towboat arrived just 15 minutes later, but there was no sign of the yacht. Not even a flare was fired, though the crew had promised to send a signal. Maybe they just didn't have enough time? It's not like the boat just sank without a reason. Was there someone who helped her? I have an idea who that might be. According to official sources, giant squids grow up to 26 feet long, and their attacks on ships are described not only in legends, but also documented in real life. In the 1930s, the 16,500-ton Royal Norwegian Navy's tanker Brunswick was attacked 3 times by giant squids. Thankfully, the ship's steel proved too slippery for the monster's tentacles, and it was killed by the propellers. One of the last recorded attacks occurred relatively recently, in 2003. The squid tried to capsize a French yacht sailing around the world, but she managed to sail away. But what if the yacht Witchcraft, like other mysteriously disappeared ships, couldn't get away? There are several ships with the past shrouded in mystery. The Mary Celeste, a merchant brigantine, discovered on December 4, 1872. It had intact cargo on board, a 6-month supply of water and food, and all the crew's personal belongings, but no crew. Cyclops, a U.S. Navy collier that went missing on March 4, 1918, along with 309 men aboard. SS Marine Sulphur Queen. Upon arrival in Florida in February 1963, the tanker sent a message indicating her position, and then went silent forever. After 19 days of searching, only a few life jackets and a couple of wrecks were found, but no sign of the ship or the 39 crew members. Okay, I admit that not even the most violent squid could drag a warship to the bottom. But who said it was acting alone? The Humboldt squids band together in huge groups of up to 1,200 creatures. I wouldn't be surprised if they sank Atlantis as well. Don't forget about the beak, the powerful suction cups with up to 35,000 teeth, and the aggressive behavior. Sharks can't hold a candle to that. And don't forget there are many other threatening creatures out there in the ocean. Which don't have to grow to 26 feet long to cause pain and inspire terror. The list of little creatures you should stay away from starts with this beauty. Check out the gorgeous fin of the red lionfish. That's where it hides its sharp venomous spines, which can cause intense burning, cramping, and paralysis. Their sting is unlikely to kill you, but it can easily make you faint, and you'll sink to the bottom where the Titan triggerfish will be waiting for you. What's this fish like? Well, it's a total maniac. Don't be fooled by the Hollywood smile. With its powerful teeth, the Titan triggerfish cracks shells of clams and sea urchins like nuts. The fingers of divers will do too. But even the Titan triggerfish keeps its fins to itself when the box jellyfish swims by, seemingly insignificant serial killer of the ocean. This video was clearly filmed by someone who has several lives left because the venom of the box jellyfish causes not only real pain, but more often than not, death. Lethal effects have been reported in just 4 minutes after exposure, which is much faster than a bite from any venomous snake or spider, which is why the box jellyfish is considered one of the deadliest venomous animals in the world, if not the deadliest. Its venom is strong enough to kill 60 people in 3 minutes. Compare this to a shark with its 50 victims in 200 years and you'll realize the box jellyfish will laugh in its face. All in all, ocean fauna is a nightmare, and many people have probably already thought, what if we could somehow get rid of it quietly? Well, the ocean has heard you. It has one way to do that, but I don't think anyone would like it. Oddly enough, the ocean's fauna can be undone by the ocean's own flora, or rather, algae. Many of them are very useful and enrich the atmosphere with oxygen, but some of them steal oxygen from the water and emit toxins as they bloom. Not the best exchange, don't you agree? Sea creatures won't like it either. In Florida, a red tide, though it comes in other colors too, once killed 452 turtles and 92 manatees. Here's this satellite photo to help you realize the extent of the threat. In real life, algal blooms rarely reach such catastrophic scales. But in theory, nothing prevents these organisms from taking over the ocean one day. Killer algae, aggressive squid, crazy Titan triggerfish. There's a lot of nasty creatures lurking in the depths of the ocean. I'm starting to relate to the people who fear the depths themselves more than the monsters within them. By the way, let's find out if you're one of them. Take a look at this video. How does it make you feel? Not feeling dizzy yet? Then let's raise the bar. I can hear your rapid breathing. Now imagine yourself hearing that sound when you have dozens of feet of water above your head and nowhere to hide or run away. Want it to stop? Sounds like you have thalassophobia. The reasons why people fear deep water are not very clear. Scientists believe that it is a human evolutionary trait, a reaction to a vast unexplored space, which may harbor many dangers. The dangers are indeed there, alas, far more serious than venomous jellyfish. And far more sudden ones. We usually discover them when it's too late to do anything about it. This is, for example, what a diver encountered during one of his dives. And this is what people saw on the shore sometime later. Underwater earthquakes are a real hidden threat whose effects can be incredibly devastating. On December 26, 2004, a tectonic plate shift happened in the Indian Ocean. try to wrap your mind around its scale. About 930 miles of rock shifted by 50 feet, and the energy of the earthquake would be enough to boil 40 gallons of water for each man living on Earth. The shock wave could be felt even 4,500 miles away. It changed the rotational velocity of the planet, and the tsunami that followed it became the most deadly in history. But its victims didn't even see it coming. The problem is that even such a big tsunami in the deep ocean looks like a small wave about 1 or 2 feet high. At the same time, it moves at an incredible speed of up to 600 miles per hour and only gains more powerful when it approaches the shore. Detecting such a wave in its early stages is still a challenge, even for modern sensors. The only thing harder to anticipate is this. On the one hand, underwater eruptions rarely create destructive tsunamis. Sometimes they could actually become useful. They create new islands, enrich the water with iron and minerals, but they also release huge amounts of carbon dioxide. This is where the main danger lies. While a tsunami can still be anticipated, a limnic eruption is a silent and brutal killer that leaves no chance to anyone. Picture yourself sitting comfortably on the shore of this lake with a fishing rod in your hands. The weather is perfect, it's quiet all around. You take a deep breath, but you can't. You try again, but there's hardly any air to breathe. And within seconds, everything is over. Sounds like the plot of a horror movie, but unfortunately, that's a real thing, which also happened here at Lake Nyos. The first recorded limnic eruption happened in Cameroon on Lake Munoun in 1984, when a carbon dioxide release killed 37 people living nearby. And 2 years later, a nearby Lake Nyos released more than 2.5 billion cubic feet of CO2. A giant invisible cloud settled down in the nearby area, suffocating 1,700 people and 3,000 livestock. These phenomena are probably caused by the volcanic activity at the bottom of reservoirs. For some time, the gas builds up at the bottom and is held back by pressure. But when there's too much of it, a volcano, a landslide, or even a strong wind can set it free. It's like opening a can of Coca-Cola. The most frightening thing about this story is that the Lake Nyos disaster could happen again, but on an even more terrifying scale. On the border between Rwanda and Congo, there's Lake Kivu, the lower layers of which are saturated with carbon dioxide and methane. The volume of the latter is estimated at almost 2 billion cubic feet. The lives of 2 million local people are in danger. And who knows how many more such reservoirs are there on the planet. Let's move beyond discussing phobias and consider a worst-case scenario. You find yourself in the middle of the ocean, alone. I might even know the most likely reason why this might have happened. According to lifeguards, 70% of beachgoers don't know anything about the rip currents, and about 100% panic when they end up in one. That's hardly surprising though. As you can see on the video, the lifeguard himself is having trouble fighting this current. As you struggle to make it to the shore, the current relentlessly carries you away. Despite your efforts to paddle harder, you find yourself becoming more and more exhausted and end up as food for the Titan triggerfish. Actually, all you had to do was relax and let the current drag you along a bit. It's not long and quite narrow, so you can escape it by swimming along the shore. But what if you were a passenger on another Titanic and there was no sight of the coast? Good news for the men. Scientists studied 18 major sinkings and found that men survive almost twice as often. Specifically, 34.5% of men and only 17.8% of women made it out alive, which is bad news for everyone. Fortunately, you can improve your odds if you follow certain rules. Use whatever means you have to stay afloat. You'll hardly have a toolkit with you, but some debris and a cloth to bandage them is already a good base for a raft. Find fresh water. Yes, there's only salty water around, but after all, some water drops from the sky from time to time, and you should use everything you have to collect the moisture. Besides, there's fresh water in fish. It can be squeezed out of its soft tissues and sucked out of its spine. What, were you expecting a cooled bottle of Fiji? And perhaps, most importantly, stay calm? When Alain Bombard, a 26-year-old French doctor, heard about the trawler that sank ashore, he didn't pay much attention to it. The sea was calm and the chances of saving the crew were extremely high. But later, the bodies of 43 dead people were brought to the hospital, and every one of them wearing a life jacket. Alain concluded that it's not the sea that kills most often, but panic. And to prove it, he decided to run an experiment. With no experience in navigation, he sailed across the Atlantic in an inflatable boat. He had only little things with him like a compass and a first aid kit. He also had a supply of food and fresh water, but it had to remain sealed. If Bombard had opened it or died, the experiment would have been deemed a failure. But he survived. After losing 55 pounds, getting water out of the fish, and writing a will near the end of the experiment out of fear for his health, he still reached the destination. Alain proved that by maintaining self-control, it's possible to survive in the open ocean and reach the land, if, of course, there is still land to reach. Eventually, if the average temperature on Earth keeps rising, we all risk ending up in the middle of one big ocean. Today, the rate at which sea levels are rising has more than doubled since the 20th century. Some conspiracy theorists think this is all fiction, but they usually have nothing to say to maps like this one. According to UN experts, by 2100, the global sea level may rise by 1.5 to 2 feet. And then the Maldives and a bunch of Pacific islands will end up underwater, while China, South Asia, many European cities, New York will suffer. The good news is that it's relatively easy to avoid it, but everyone has to make an effort. Let's hope a global flood is even less likely than the chance of being eaten by a shark. Or this maniac.